Guys, a couple of people asked me to put a tutorial together for this sewing pouch. I made version 1 the other day and posted it up on my blog, and a few people said, can you put a tutorial together? So I thought I'd have a go at doing a DVD one. So this was inspired from watching a Chanel DVD, and it specially focused on the couturiers that worked in the workshops there. And most of the senior ladies had one of these around their neck, and you can see it's attached by a cord. I've actually got a safety pin at the back as well, and it's brilliant because I don't know if you're anything like me, you're using your unpicking tool, you put it on the bench, you go over to the sewing machine, do some sewing, then realise that you've done something that you need to unpick, have to get up, go and find it. Well, this way it's always with you. It just pops back in there when you're finished, and rather than putting all your pins in your mouth and talking like this, you can just put them straight into your sewing pouch. I've even got a small area here for my sewing needles, so again I often find I put the sewing needles in my pin cushion, and then I'm trying to spot the sewing needle amongst many pins, especially if I'm using a magnetic plate. So this DVD is just to show you how to make one of these. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm sure you'll make it much better than I have. This is just a quick project. I haven't worried about whether or not my elastic's a little bit crooked. If you want to pay more time overdoing yours, then please do. But this is just to show you how to do it. Okay, so one of the things that you're going to need is some cardboard, and this is going to go inside the pin pouch. It sort of gives it a bit of support, but it also stops you actually pinning yourself if you're going to pop the pins in the pouch like I have. So take a piece of card. This is some of my I like to make greeting cards as well, so this is some of my greeting card. There's no science about how wide you want it, so my one here is round about sort of 6 inches, something like that. So you need to make your card just slightly narrower than the fabric, because obviously you've got to do your seams. So the first thing you need to do is the card needs to be slightly narrower than the finished pouch that you want, but it needs to be long enough going up so that when you fold it in half, because you can see here that it's folded up, that you've got enough room to do that. So I'm just using my rotary cutter here, and just simply cutting that, and there we have the card. Okay, for the fabric, I've just got some scrap. This was an old quilt. In fact, I used this fabric to make a jacket, and these are just the scraps left over from the jacket. So take your card. Because we've already got a finished edge on here, I'm going to use that for the top edge of my pin holder. And you need to cut your fabric slightly wider than the card to give you a little bit of seam allowance. So just take those threads off. So there's the first side, and then just giving yourself enough of a seam allowance on the other side. You don't have to be too precise about this unless you're particularly fanatical about being exact. We're not going to be sewing this top edge because we've already got a nice finished edge there, so just give yourself enough of a seam allowance for the bottom. Okay. So that's basically your first part, and we need 2 of those, so just cut your second one exactly the same as the first. On the first one I put a fleece on the inside, but for this one I'm just going to do the 2 exactly the same. Okay, so there's your 2 pieces, and needless to say your card is going to go in the middle. These are going to go one on top of the other, and then we're actually going to be folding this up. Now, I re-watched the DVD and I noticed that one of the ladies had a little hook for her scissors, which I thought was a brilliant idea, and I also thought that a second little tab for the unpicking tool would also be good. So that's what we're going to do. So what I've decided to do is I found some elastic, it's obviously been unpicked from somewhere, ever thrifty, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get enough elastic to sort of go in the centre part there. So I'm going to do this so that I can put 1 or 2 items in there if I want to. So I think I need about that width, and we're just going to cut that off, and then I'm just going to machine down the edge there, down the edge there, and then depending on how many items I want in here, I'll probably just do two lines of stitching here. You can do this on a stretch stitch, or you can do it on a fine zigzag. So let's do that. So I have stitched on a small zigzag, I've gone down and back up again, down, back up there, so we've got this bit here that's free in the middle, and then just to make sure that I can get my unpicking tool in, I just want to measure from there and find out how much I need. So that should be fine, and I can just mark with a little bit of chalk there where my stitching line is. Okay, so that's going to be my first one. Now if I want some scissors, these ones are slightly longer than what I would have in here. Obviously I'd go for a smaller pair of scissors, but I need this one here to be tight enough to take them. So because my scissors will be a bit smaller, I'll take it to a more narrow part, and again just mark that. That's my second stitching line, which leaves me this bit here, and I guess I could put anything in there, but I might just do another line down the middle there, and that way then if I wanted to put just say a chalk pen or something like that, I can. So I think I'll do my third line there. So I've stitched all my lines, so you can see here I've got one here for my unpicking tool, one here for coloured chalk pencil, Here's a little measuring tool. One consideration that when you're stitching your line for your scissors, you don't necessarily want them sort of going down, although this is going to have card, so they're not going to necessarily stick into you. But what you could do is stitch that line at an angle, and that way then you can see here, so if you do it at a slight angle, then you would be able to sort of prevent your scissors going directly down or up. So I have stitched that together, but what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to do a small V shape in this one. So rather than the scissors just going down, the only way I can put them in is at a slight angle, and you can taper the V so that it goes like that. So if I just draw that on there, that's my next stitching line. So the next thing we need to do is to attach some ribbon or cord or whatever it is that you want to do to hang this around your neck. So I'm using this little pretty black and white stripe one. So just pop that around your neck and just decide. This one's using a safety pin, which works really well, but you might be wearing something that could run or catch if you attach it with a safety pin, so in which case you probably want to use the straps. So I've just measured this round my neck to where I feel that needs to hang down, with a little bit that hangs out either side, so that I can stitch that to the back of my tape. So I've got about a half an inch on each side. So because this side is the bit that's going to be facing like this, you need to attach your cord so that it's underneath, pull that round, and then attach the other one. So we've got about a half an inch at the bottom of each, and we're just going to stitch that firmly in place. So I've attached my cord, so the two ends that are not going to be seen are sitting here, and I've done a couple of rows of stitching, one at the top and one at the bottom, just to make sure that it's held firmly in place, and that way then when it's hanging around your neck you can see that we've got this here. So now we've finished the cord, we're ready to sew the underside of the pouch in place. So this is going to be right sides together. This already nicely neat selvage edge is just going to go edge to edge, and we're just going to sew along here, and along the bottom, because we need to be able to slip the card in. So you can see here that I've got about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance on both sides. Doesn't really matter if you go over slightly, because you can always just trim your card off to be able to slip it in. So the next stage is stitching down the thread.